Hello there, kia ora. On Monday, I did a bit of a compound video where I took a look at, I think, 4 different stories in the news from over the weekend to say, look, there's an awful lot of stuff going on. And at the time, I said, I hope I don't have to do this again as a regular series. And then Wednesday happened. Wednesday was a lot. A lot. It started off with the Prime Minister in Japan. On Tuesday, he was in a bit of trouble because he made comments about past trade delegations, calling them C grade and tag-alongs. And a lot of those members are in the current trade delegation he's taking with him to Japan. It does not sit well with them, but of course, it's all smiles at the moment because they have to. They're on a trade trip with the Prime Minister to Japan. And instead of apologizing for the comments or how they were interpreted, he just kind of brushed it off and ignored it all. So that wasn't a great start to the day. And then that was followed by news that business confidence and spending has slumped so much that we're seeing record numbers of businesses close down because consumer confidence has dwindled, because the economy is tanking, because 8 or 9 months ago now, somebody took over the running of things that completely changed things up and decided that they were going to, increase the rates of unemployment and give back billions of dollars in tax cuts to landlords. And at the same time, didn't help the squeezed middle one iota, but rose their costs up heaps. For some reason, people just don't have the money to go out spending anymore. Can't imagine what would have caused that to happen. Oh, and then following that, there was that comment from Tama Pōtaka, the conservation minister, who said that not every species may be able to be saved that's on the endangered species list because it's too expensive. There has to be some kind of cost-benefit ratio to what species we go out there and save. Okay, it's a really odd way to look at things, but sure, why not? Oh, and then there was actually a report that was released by the Ombudsman that showed that the government acted unlawfully by refusing to release information about the fast track bill, and that the public had a right to know exactly how that bill was going to affect them and their local communities and the wider environment, and they didn't do that. So the Ombudsman wasn't particularly happy with what was going on. Oh, and then there was the weird claim from Winston Peters that he wasn't consulted on Melissa Lee's media plan. And there was rumors at the time that he was the one holding things up because he felt like he wasn't properly consulted, but OIA information that got released to staff proved that he was consulted and that it did come over his desk in the same fashion that all kinds of bits and pieces end up on the Deputy Prime Minister's desk, and either he didn't see it or doesn't remember, but he doubled down with the, I'm telling you this is what happened, even though the evidence proves otherwise. Oh, and then there was news about the evidence for an advisory group plan for maths. Now, this is the group that over the last weeks made headlines for wanting to bring back cursive into schools. They also did a bit of a rehash on some stuff around the maths curriculum. And they recommended a new approach that even they acknowledge there's no actual evidence to back up how it's going to work, but they seem really keen on it. Oh, then there was the news that Sale GP wasn't returning to Christchurch next year after, what's his name, Coots had a bit of a tantrum about dolphins in an endangered dolphin area getting in his way. He decided it just wasn't worth it if he can't run over some endangered species. I wonder what the cost-benefit analysis of that's going to be. Oh, and then there was finally news that the government's decided to scrap what they call pay top-ups for disabled workers, because disabled workers are unfortunately not covered under the laws around things like minimum wage. So the government had a plan in place that topped up about 900 odd people's salaries so that they were earning at least minimum wage. Some people were earning as little as $2.30 an hour, like the people that Christopher Luxon would hire at Air New Zealand to untangle headphones. So the government's decided to scrap that. But hey, they'll save $56 million a year in doing so. I'm again wondering what the cost-benefit analysis of that is. Oh, and then finally, in terms of local news, Invercargill's Mayor Nobby Clark made headlines again after a complaint was laid about him by the fire department, who apparently had him there for some kind of a ceremony of some sort, and he blames brain fade and lack of oxygen from his time recovering from his heart surgery that he had. But apparently it was so offensive that the fire department felt that they needed to lay a code of conduct complaint, and investigations are still ongoing. And Nobby doesn't deny that he's done something offensive, but we don't actually know what it is. But this is the mayor who said he has no problem using the N-word. So you see what I mean? One day, all of this stuff happened. That's a lot for anybody to be able to process. And it's one of the reasons why we're not always hearing everything that's going on, because there is so much always going on. And this is supposed to be a quiet time because scrutiny week's on in Parliament. So there's no sort of big house sittings or major bills going through. It's just honestly a total onslaught all the time. I think I need a bit of a breather this weekend just to get away from it.